He said we're getting close to the vicinity of neutral, Jim.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's Cramer 1, Fed nothing from 2007. And he's wrong, excuse me, for trying to do some work, which is what he ought to do. And what I think is that when I look at what happened in 2007, it's exactly what they did this time. And we had some people in the Fed, very well-meaning, saying exactly what he did. Now, of course, he did slip in at the end data dependence, but, you know, their record's not as good as mine. And I'm sorry to be like that. I'm sorry to be like Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are. And they're 0-1. And they got to start shaping up and stop being ideological. I think that Chairman Powell the other day started to say it, get a little more data dependent. But they got to do more work, Carl. They got to stay up later. They got to make more calls. It's a huge drag to understand this stuff. But you got to make the calls. Like I do. Sorry to be so arrogant.
No, that's all right. And a couple of key thoughts. I mean, comparing to 07 in the sense of what was going on with the credit markets in 07 is not completely an apples-to-apples comparison.
True. No, I'm just saying they're wrong now. Like they're wrong then. No, we're in a much better balance.
But I am going to tell you, listen, I've been sitting here listening to you for a couple of months now, 6 weeks at least, talk pretty negatively about what you see coming. And I will have to say that I'm starting to hear the same thing.
You are, huh?
Yeah. You know, business confidence, there's a question as to whether how much it's getting shaken because of the potential trade war. And
oh my God.
I'm starting to hear it more often. And I'm also hearing it from investors who, by the way, even if it doesn't end up necessarily being true, are pulling back and these things become self-reinforcing or even self-fulfilling.
Right.
Not to mention, of course, as you pointed out so many times, the home builders. Yesterday we saw KB Home and what happened. And retail, which has been kind of a mixed bag. And we're going to take a look at it this morning with Nordstrom or with Williams-Sonoma, Dillard's, Macy's the other day. Jim, I got to tell you, I'm starting to agree with you.
The 98,000 people work at JCPenney. What's going to happen to them? You got to find a home for them.
Well, you got all the CEOs talking to you guys. Today it's the Journal, very dovish op-ed called "America is Not an Island," in which the page says the Fed needs to rethink a December hike. The president needs to think about his tariff war. He says, how lucky does he feel? He just suffered a bruising midterm election defeat with a strong economy.
Yeah, are you feeling lucky? I mean, it's like a Dirty Harry situation. I mean, look, I'm a little shaken here by what's happening because it's happening faster than the Fed seems to realize. The Fed doesn't want to show, just like they did in 2007. I understand the credit markets.
And it's global.
Right.
We got to point out the slowdown is occurring at a faster rate, and certainly foreign markets show that. I mean, take a look at the performance of emerging markets or just international markets overall versus our own.
Yeah,
and what this is, it's China. It is at the heart of it, even though, frankly, the consumer here has really not suffered very much as a result yet of the tariffs. But it is the perception of this going to continue for quite some time that seems to be shaking some decisions in terms of businesses and potentially, I guess, at the consumer level too.
Well, you know, let's talk about what the vice chair said. He said there's really nothing in the markets that gives the signal. Well, that's wrong. Okay, look, it's the First Amendment. He has the right to be wrong, but he's wrong. When you see oil fall like this with the speed of light, when you see the Baltic freight fall like this, when you see applied materials fall like this, part of the new economy, when you see the home builders, when you see the autos, when you see the retailers, we're a service economy, what you have to do is say, if you're him, you know what, we have new data. And the new data in the last 6 weeks have changed. We don't want to react necessarily in the next 6 weeks, but if it continues, we may have to rethink what we're doing. And again, that's not wrong. But if you're ideological and you say, you know what, we've been raising slowly and we're being very prudent, they're not being prudent. They're fooling themselves. They're being rash. They're not being careful. And their policymakers, they need to be careful. Jay is a careful and prudent man. These are people who are my age or younger. And I don't want to see them make a mistake. Now, we could sit here and say, you know what, we're journalists. Who are we? I'm not a journalist. Jesus. I mean, I'm speaking to these business people offline. And they say, just like in 2000, say something, please. So I'm saying it. And, you know, again, these guys are my junior. A lot of these guys would have been people I would have employed at one point. And it's okay to say, hey, guys, come on. Do more homework.
Help viewers understand, are you...